In our everyday life, if we want to repeat a task, we do it again and again. But there is an advantage that we have with the programming languages, and that advantage is called as loops. That if you want to repeat a task again and again with a programming language, you can use a loops, and we will be discussing about it in our today's session. So hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to WsCube Tech. My name is Ayushi Jain. And in this video, we will be discussing about different kinds of loops that are there in Python. We will be focusing on the concepts of loops, that how we can apply them, how we can use them in different situations. Before that, if you want to become a successful data analyst and if you want to learn from our experts live, then you can call on the given number or you can fill the form that is provided in our description. Not just that, with our every batch, you will be getting 2 demo classes for free. So now let's get started with the loops. Then we will be talking about for loop. For loop is a kind of a loop. So let's see what this for loop is. For loop is a loop that repeats something in a given range. That means in for loop, we need to define a range. Now, what is a range? Range is something that has a starting point, that from where we want to start this loop. It has the ending point, that where we have to end this loop, and then we have a step in between. For example, let's say there are stairs and you want to climb the stairs. Okay, so if your starting value would be 1. If let's say there are 20 stairs, then your ending value would be 21, because according to the loop syntax, whatever the ending point is, we will be adding 1 to it. So if the stairs are ending on 20, we will be writing 21 over there. And lastly, this step in between. Suppose if you're climbing the stairs by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on, or if you're climbing the stairs like kids, like how kids do, like they skip the steps in between. Not just kids, we adults also do it sometimes. We skip the steps. So they going like 1, 3, 5, 7. So what is the gap in between? The gap is of 2 stairs. The gap is of 3 stairs. So that gap also we will be defining over here. So for loop basically has 3 things. It has a range in which we have a starting point, we have an ending point, and then we have a gap in between. If we don't need any gap in between, we don't have to define it. Now let's have a look on how we can write the for loop. So our topic is loop, and inside loop we are learning for loop today. So for writing for loop, the syntax is very simple. First of all, you write for. You create any variable over here. The variable name could be anything. I personally use I, that for I in range. Now don't confuse I with anything. I is nothing but just a variable over here. So for I in range, we can write anything. For A in range, for number in range, for any variable name you can insert over here. So I'm writing for I in range. Now we will be defining a range over here. Let's say I want to write all the numbers up to 10, right? So I will be defining a range over here, that for I in range 1, comma, I am not going to write 10 over here. I will be writing 11 over here, because as I said, the for loop follows the syntax where you have to add +1 to the ending number. So instead, if I want it to end on 10, I will be writing 11. I don't want any gap in between. I want to write all the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's it. I'll put a colon over here, and inside this body of for loop, I will be printing this I. So let's run and see what happens. So it will print me all the numbers starting from 1, ending on 10. Because if I would have written over here 10 instead of 11 and would have run the program would have stopped on 9. It executes only up to 9, because +1 has not been added over here. So if I wanted to execute up to 10, I need to write 11 over here. Similarly, if you want your program to start from 0, we can just replace the starting value from 1 to 0. So your program will start from 0 and goes up to 10. Similarly, if you want to write all the even numbers up to 10, then what you can do, you can write 0, comma 11, that is your ending value, comma the gap in between. If you want to give a gap in between, the gap in the case of even numbers, the gap is of 2. So yes, let's see what happens. So it's starting from 0 up to 10, it's writing all the even numbers. Same goes for odd numbers. For the odd numbers, the gap is of 2. The ending point will also remain the 11, but the starting point will change from 0 to 1 because 0 does not comes in the category of odd numbers. This first odd number is 1. That's why we will be writing 1, 11, and 2. So now we get all the odd numbers up to number 10. So not just 2, according to your choice, you can add any kind of gap over here. So let's say if my starting value is 0, my ending value is 10. If I put a gap of 3 in between and run the program, it would write 0, 3, 6, and 9. So the gap between the numbers is of 0, 3, 6, and 9. This is how our for loop works. Inside the for loop, we have a starting value, we have an ending value, and we have a gap. If you don't need any gap, you just leave it empty, just write 0 to 11, and that's it. That would be your 0 to 10, all the numbers without any gap. So this is how for loop works basically. Now here only inside the for loop, I'll take a small example. Let's say I want to write a multiplication table of any number. So I'll take an example over here. I'm creating a variable called as n. Let's say I want to write a multiplication table of 7. Okay, I'll write my for loop that for I in range, the table starts from number 1 and goes to number 10. That's why I will be writing 11 over here. I'm not going to put any gap in between, and I'll just put a colon and print. Now here I is holding our numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. N is holding 7. So 7 times 1 would be 7. 7 times 2 would be 14. And so on it will be going on. So I'll just write a basic syntax of our table over here that when 7 multiplies by 1, it gives 7. 7 multiplies by 2, it gives us 14. Let's print this over here. For 7, we know we only need this n variable. So I'll put a n. I'll put a comma for multiplication. Now here we are not actually multiplying it. We are just using this multiplication operator over here. So I'm just going to put this multiplication operator over here and put a comma. Again, 1 is not just 1. It is our loop. It is the variable of our loop which is holding all our numbers, that is 1 to 10. So I'm going to use 1. So instead of writing 1 over here, I will be writing I. Again, I'll put a comma. Now equal is again not assigned, not working as any operator over here. We are just showing it over there. So I'm just going to put it in a string. I'll put a comma. And lastly, now we will do our actual multiplication, that is n times I. Let's see what happens when we run this program. As you can see, it gives us the whole multiplication table of number 7. And if you want a multiplication table of any other number other than 7, all you can just do it. Just replace this term 7 with any other number, let's say 9, and run this program. So now we get the multiplication table of 9. So yes, this is a very simple method. In just easy 2-line steps, we are able to 2 to 3 line steps, we are able to create a multiplication table for any number we want. Even if you want to take a user input for it, you can write over here int input, enter a number here, and once I run this program, it takes a user input from me. So let's say I'm gonna write 12 over here. As soon as I have written 12 over here, it gives me the table of 12. In a very few steps, in a very few lines, we have created a very interesting program, right? So I hope now for loop is pretty much more clear to you. All you need to remember is that there is a range which has a starting value, which is an ending value, and to the ending value we add 1, and then there is a gap. If you don't need any gap, you just leave it like that. The default is set to 1. And if you need a gap, then yes, you can put a comma and give the gap that you want to provide between the numbers. So that was all about for loop. Yes, we will be solving more problem based on for loop because yes, again, it's a vast topic and it is an important topic. So I hope the for loop was clear to you, and I'll see you in the next session. Till then, stay connected. Bye bye. Thank you.